The rain hit the windows like tiny bullets, making Maya jump with each loud tap. She hadn't seen a storm this bad in years. The power had gone out 2 hours ago, and her small apartment felt like a cave, dark and cold. Maya wrapped her blanket tighter around her shoulders as she lit another candle. The storm warnings on her phone kept buzzing. Flash floods, stay indoors, emergency alerts. But the worst part wasn't the storm outside. It was knowing she might lose everything she'd worked for. 3 days ago, Maya had received the letter. Her building was being sold. All tenants had 60 days to find a new place to live. Where would she go? Rent in the city had doubled in the last 5 years, and her job as a hospital nurse barely covered her current place. At 32, Maya thought she would have more figured out by now. No husband, no kids, just her, this apartment, and her job helping others. She loved being a nurse, but tonight she wondered if love was enough. Maya went to the window and looked down at the flooded street. The rain was coming down so hard she could barely see across to the other buildings. Then she noticed something moving in the downpour. A figure struggling against the wind, limping badly. Someone was out in this storm, hurt and alone. Without thinking twice, Maya grabbed her raincoat and keys. She might be scared about her own future, but she couldn't ignore someone who needed help. That wasn't who she was. By the time Maya made it downstairs and out the door, the rain had soaked through her coat. The wind nearly knocked her over as she looked around for the person she'd seen from her window. Then she spotted him, a man holding onto a lamppost, his leg at an odd angle, face twisted in pain. "Hey!" Maya shouted over the storm. "You need to get inside." The man looked up, surprised to see someone else crazy enough to be out in this weather. He was tall, with dark hair plastered to his forehead from the rain. His expensive-looking suit was ruined, covered in mud on one side where he must have fallen. "I'm fine," he called back, though his face said otherwise. "Just slipped. Car broke down a block back." Maya shook her head. Nobody was fine in this storm with a leg that wouldn't hold weight. "I'm a nurse," she said, moving closer. "And you're not fine. You need to get that leg looked at and get dry. My place is right here." The man hesitated, studying her face. Maya couldn't blame him for being careful about following a stranger, but this was no time for second thoughts. "Look," she said, "you can either come inside where it's dry, or I can call an ambulance that probably won't make it through these floods for hours. Your choice." A flash of lightning lit up the sky, followed immediately by thunder that shook the ground. The man winced as he tried to put weight on his injured leg. "Lead the way," he finally said. "Thank you." Maya helped him limp to her building, letting him lean on her as they made their way inside. By the time they reached her apartment on the 3rd floor, they were both breathing hard. "I'm Maya," she said, helping him to her couch. "Let me look at that leg." "Elijah," he replied, grimacing as he sat down. "Elijah Jones. I appreciate the help." Not many people would bring a stranger into their home. Maya shrugged as she gathered her first aid supplies by candlelight. Not many people would ignore someone hurt in a storm either. She rolled up his pant leg carefully, revealing a nasty gash and what looked like a sprained ankle. "This needs cleaning and you should probably get an X-ray when the storm passes." "What were you doing out there anyway?" Elijah looked embarrassed. "My driver dropped me off at the wrong address. I was trying to find the right building when the storm got worse. Then my phone died, I slipped on some steps and—" He gestured at his leg. "Not my finest moment." Maya raised an eyebrow as she cleaned the cut. "A driver? This man must have money." But he didn't act rich. No complaints about her small apartment or the candlelight or her second-hand furniture. He just seemed grateful for the help. "Well, you're not going anywhere tonight," Maya said. "The streets are flooding and that leg needs rest." Elijah nodded, looking around her apartment with curious eyes. His gaze landed on the open letter on her kitchen counter. The eviction notice. "Trouble?" he asked quietly. Maya bit her lip. She didn't know this man and she didn't share her problems with strangers. But something about the storm, the candlelight, and the unusual situation made her feel like talking. "Buildings being sold," she said simply. "Everyone has to move out in 2 months." "That's rough," Elijah said, and he sounded like he meant it. "Have you found another place?" Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. "In this market? With what I make as a nurse? I'm still processing the news." Elijah opened his mouth to say something, then closed it again. He seemed to be thinking carefully about his next words. "Sometimes life throws storms at us in more ways than one," he finally said, looking out at the rain still pounding against the windows. Maya nodded, finishing the bandage on his leg. "Yes, it does. But storms pass. They always do." What Maya didn't know as she sat in her candlelit apartment with this stranger was that this particular storm would change her life forever. She didn't know that Elijah Jones wasn't just any man with a nice suit and a driver. She had no idea that by morning both their worlds would be turned upside down. And Elijah, watching this kind woman who had brought him in from the storm without a second thought, made a quiet promise to himself. When this storm passed, he would make sure Maya never had to worry about losing her home again. Neither of them knew that this chance meeting on the worst night of the year was just the beginning of their story. Morning came with gentle sunlight streaming through Maya's curtains. The storm had passed sometime during the night, leaving behind a fresh, clean smell and puddles that reflected the blue sky. Maya stretched and remembered she had a guest. She found Elijah asleep on her couch, his injured leg propped up on a pillow. In the daylight, Maya could see him clearly for the first time. His face was handsome, with kind lines around his eyes that suggested he smiled often. His clothes, though wrinkled and still damp in places, were clearly expensive, the kind of quality Maya could never afford. As if feeling her gaze, Elijah's eyes opened. For a moment he looked confused, then recognition dawned. "Good morning," Maya said. "How's the leg?" Elijah sat up slowly, testing his ankle. "Better, thanks to you. Still sore, but I can put some weight on it now. Coffee?" Maya offered, moving to her small kitchen. "It's nothing fancy, but it's hot." "I'd love some," Elijah said, running a hand through his messy hair. "And a phone if you don't mind. Mine's dead and I should let my assistant know I'm alive. She's probably worried sick." Maya handed him her phone. While Elijah made his call, she busied herself with breakfast, just some eggs and toast, all she had in the fridge. She tried not to eavesdrop, but couldn't help overhearing bits of his conversation. "Yes, Diane, I'm fine. No, don't send the car yet. Just reschedule everything until noon." "Yes, all of it. No, the Thompson meeting too. I'll explain later." An assistant who rescheduled meetings. A driver. Maya's suspicion that Elijah was wealthy grew stronger, making her suddenly self-conscious about her small apartment with its mismatched furniture and worn carpet. "Sorry about that," Elijah said, handing back her phone. "Work never stops, even after near-death experiences and storms." Maya smiled, setting a plate of eggs in front of him. "Near-death? A sprained ankle and a cut? I've seen worse paper cuts." Elijah laughed, a warm sound that filled the apartment. "Fair enough. Still, I appreciate the rescue. Not everyone would help a stranger like you did." Maya shrugged. "I'm a nurse. Helping is what I do." "Where do you work?" Elijah asked, taking a bite of toast. "Mercy General. I've been there 6 years now. Do you like it?" The question was simple, but Maya found herself giving an honest answer. "Most days. I love my patients and the work matters. But..." She hesitated. "But..." Elijah prompted gently. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm making enough difference. The healthcare system is so broken. People who need help can't afford it, insurance companies make all the decisions, and nurses are overworked and underpaid." Maya stopped, embarrassed by her sudden honesty. "Sorry. You didn't ask for my opinion on healthcare reform." Elijah was watching her intently. "No, but I'm interested. People who work on the front lines see the real problems." They talked through breakfast, and Maya was surprised at how easy it was to talk to Elijah. He asked thoughtful questions about her work, her life, even her dreams, things Maya hadn't thought about in years. What would she change about healthcare if she could? What had made her become a nurse? If money were no object, what would she do? "I'd open a clinic," Maya said without hesitation. "A place where people could get care regardless of insurance or ability to pay. Somewhere that treated the whole person, not just their symptoms." Elijah nodded, his eyes bright with interest. "That sounds amazing. The world needs more places like that." "What about you?" Maya asked, realizing she knew nothing about him except his name. "What do you do?" A strange expression crossed Elijah's face, almost embarrassment. "I'm in business. Investments mostly." "Must be doing well," Maya said, gesturing to his ruined but obviously expensive clothes. Elijah smiled, but there was something guarded about it now. "I've been fortunate." Before Maya could ask more, his phone rang, her phone actually, since his was still dead. It was his assistant again, saying a car was waiting downstairs. "I should go," Elijah said, standing carefully. His ankle seemed much better as he tested his weight on it. "I've taken up enough of your time." "It was no trouble," Maya said, surprised at the disappointment she felt. She'd probably never see this man again after he walked out her door. At the doorway, Elijah paused. "Maya, thank you. Truly." He seemed to be searching for the right words. "Can I? Would it be okay if I called you sometime? Maybe to thank you properly with dinner? Maya felt her heart skip. Was he asking her out? This handsome, mysterious man who probably lived in a world completely different from hers? Sure, she said before she could overthink it. I'd like that. Elijah's smile was genuine and warm. Great. I'll call you soon. As Maya watched him leave, she had no idea that soon would mean that very afternoon. And she certainly had no idea that her simple act of kindness during a storm was about to lead her into a world she never imagined. A world of wealth, power, and a man whose life was far more complicated than she could have guessed. The rest of Maya's morning passed in a blur. She cleaned up her apartment, took a shower, and tried not to think about Elijah. She was scheduled for the night shift at the hospital, which meant she had hours to kill, and hours to wonder if he would really call. Around 3 o'clock, her phone rang with an unknown number. Her heart jumped. Hello? Maya? It's Elijah. From last night, and this morning. She couldn't help smiling. I remember. How's the leg? Much better. Listen, I was wondering if that dinner offer could happen tonight? I know it's short notice. Maya hesitated. I have to work. Night shift starts at 7. Early dinner? 5 o'clock? I know a place not far from Mercy General. I could drop you at work after. She should say no. She barely knew this man. But something about Elijah made her curious, and if she was honest, attracted. Okay, she said. 5 works. Great. I'll pick you up at 4:30. When she hung up, Maya stared at her closet with sudden panic. What did you wear to dinner with a man who had a driver and an assistant? She settled on her nicest jeans and a simple blue blouse, dressy enough for a nice restaurant but not trying too hard. At exactly 4:30 her buzzer rang. When she went downstairs, Maya stopped short. Parked at the curb was not just any car but a sleek black limousine. The driver opened the door and Elijah stepped out, wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit that probably cost more than 3 months of Maya's rent. Hi, he said, looking almost shy despite the luxury surrounding him. Is this too much? I can send it away and we can take a taxi. Maya laughed, shaking her head. It's definitely too much, but it's also kind of fun. I've never been in a limo before. Relief crossed Elijah's face. Then your first limo ride it is. Inside the car, Maya tried not to look too impressed but failed. The seats were buttersoft leather, and a small bar held crystal glasses and bottles of water. So, she said, trying to sound casual, you're not just in business. You're successful business. Elijah looked uncomfortable. I've done well. But that's not what's interesting about me, I hope. What is interesting about you then? Maya asked. His smile returned. Why don't you tell me? First impressions. Maya studied him. Despite the fancy car and clothes, Elijah seemed normal. Kind. The way he listened when she spoke, really listened, was rare. You're thoughtful, she said finally. You ask good questions and actually care about the answers. You're confident but not arrogant. And you're hiding something. Elijah raised his eyebrows. Hiding something? When I asked about your work, you got vague. Rich people usually love talking about how they got rich. He laughed. Fair observation. I promise no big secrets. I just find that once people know what I do or what I have, it changes how they see me. Maya could understand that. Your secret's safe with me, mysterious businessman. The restaurant was beautiful, a rooftop place with views of the entire city. Maya was glad she'd worn her nice jeans, though she still felt underdressed compared to the other diners. The maitre d' greeted Elijah by name and led them to a private table near the edge of the rooftop. Come here often? Maya asked, raising an eyebrow. I own it, Elijah admitted, looking slightly embarrassed. Or part of it anyway. Maya laughed. Of course you do. Dinner was delicious and the conversation flowed easily. Elijah asked more about her nursing work, and Maya found herself sharing stories she rarely told. The patient who had come back to thank her a year after she'd helped save his life, the little girl who had given Maya her teddy bear as a gift. You really love it, Elijah observed. The patients, yes. The system? Maya shook her head. Not so much. Tell me about your clinic idea again, Elijah said. If you could build it exactly how you wanted, what would it look like? Maya described her dream, a place where healthcare was accessible to everyone, where doctors and nurses had time to really know their patients, where preventive care was as important as treatment. It would never make money, she finished. That's the problem with healthcare. The things that help people the most often don't generate profit. Elijah was watching her with that intense look again. What if money wasn't the goal? What if helping people was the only metric that mattered? Then the world would be a very different place, Maya said. As they were finishing dessert, Elijah's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. I'm sorry, I need to take this. Business emergency. He stepped away from the table, speaking quietly into his phone. Maya took the moment to look around the beautiful restaurant. Every table was full, servers moved efficiently between them, and the sunset view was spectacular. This was Elijah's world: wealth, beauty, business emergencies. So different from her life of hospital corridors and tight budgets. When Elijah returned, his expression was serious. I hate to cut this short, but I need to handle something. I'll have my driver take you to work. Is everything okay? Maya asked. Just a situation I need to manage personally. He hesitated. Maya, I've really enjoyed this evening. Can I see you again? Despite the abrupt ending, Maya found herself nodding. I'd like that. In the limo on the way to the hospital, Maya replayed the evening. Elijah was charming, interesting, and clearly wealthy beyond anything she'd imagined. Yet there was something genuine about him that didn't fit with her idea of rich businessmen. The limo pulled up at Mercy General's entrance. The driver opened her door and Maya stepped out, right as her friend and fellow nurse, Tasha, was walking in. Tasha's mouth fell open. Maya Harris. Did you just get out of a limo? Maya laughed, waving goodbye to the driver. Long story. I'll tell you inside. You better. Tasha linked arms with her as they walked in. Who was that? Where did you meet him? And why are you holding a takeout box from the summit? That place is impossible to get into. His name is Elijah Jones, Maya said. And honestly, that's about all I know for sure. What Maya didn't see was the news alert that flashed across Tasha's phone just as they entered the hospital. A business story featuring a photo of Elijah Jones, CEO of Horizon Investments, at a charity gala. The headline read, Billionaire philanthropist announces new healthcare initiative. Maya's mysterious dinner date wasn't just wealthy. He was one of the richest men in the country. And as she started her shift, blissfully unaware, Elijah was already making plans that would change both their lives forever. You went on a date with Elijah Jones? Tasha's voice echoed through the hospital break room, making Maya cringe. Keep it down. Maya hissed, looking around to make sure no one else had heard. It was 3 a.m., the quietest part of their night shift, and they were finally taking a coffee break. And it wasn't a date. It was a thank you dinner. Tasha thrust her phone in Maya's face. On the screen was a photo of Elijah in a tuxedo at some fancy event, looking impossibly handsome. The caption identified him as Elijah Jones, CEO of Horizon Investments, net worth estimated at $4.2 billion. Maya stared at the screen, her coffee forgotten. This can't be right. Oh, it's right, Tasha said, taking her phone back and scrolling. Harvard Business School took over his father's investment firm at 28, tripled its value in 5 years. Known for ethical investing and philanthropy. She looked up at Maya with wide eyes. And you just happened to let him crash on your couch during a storm? Maya sank into a chair, trying to process this information. Elijah wasn't just rich. He was one of those people whose names appeared in financial magazines and on lists of the world's wealthiest individuals. He never said. She began, then stopped. He hadn't lied exactly. Just omitted the scale of his success. Why would he tell you? Tasha asked, practical as always. Rich people have to be careful. Everyone wants something from them. But why ask me to dinner? Why the interest in my clinic idea? Maya wondered aloud. Tasha's eyes widened further. You told a healthcare billionaire about your clinic idea? Maya. I didn't know who he was. Maya protested. He was just a guy with a sprained ankle. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency call. A car accident victim was being brought in, and Maya's questions about Elijah had to wait. Hours later, as Maya finally headed home, exhausted from the long night, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Had to leave town for business. Back Friday. Dinner again? Elijah. Maya stared at the message, Tasha's revelation still ringing in her ears. She should say no. What could possibly come of this? They lived in completely different worlds. But her thumbs typed yes before her brain could stop them. On Friday evening, Maya found herself in another fancy restaurant, across from a man she now knew was one of the wealthiest people in the country. She'd spent the week Googling him, learning about his business success, his philanthropy, his reputation as a billionaire with a conscience. You didn't tell me who you really are, she said after they'd ordered. Elijah looked at her steadily. Would it have changed things if I had? Yes, Maya admitted. I probably would have been too intimidated to talk to you normally. That's exactly why I didn't say anything. He leaned forward. Maya, I meet people every day who want something from me: money, connections, status. You helped me because I was hurt, not because of who I am. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Put that way, Maya could understand his caution. Still, it's a pretty big thing to leave out. By the way, I'm a billionaire. Seems like first date information. Elijah smiled. So this is a date? Maya felt her cheeks warm. You know what I mean. I do. And you're right, I should have told you. I'm sorry. His apology seemed genuine. Can we start over? Hi, I'm Elijah Jones, CEO of Horizon Investments, guy who slipped in a storm and was lucky enough to be helped by the most compassionate nurse in the city. Despite herself, Maya smiled. Nice to meet you, Elijah Jones. I'm Maya Harris, just a regular nurse who's wondering what a billionaire wants with her. Elijah's expression grew serious. I want what everyone wants, Maya. Connection with someone who sees me for who I am, not what I have. He paused. And maybe I also want to hear more about that clinic idea of yours. Over the next few weeks, Maya and Elijah began seeing each other regularly. He took her to art galleries, small jazz clubs, quiet restaurants where they could talk for hours. Maya introduced him to her world too: her favorite bookstore with the resident cat, the food truck with the best tacos in the city, the small park where she went to think. One evening as they walked through that park, Elijah asked, "Have you found a new apartment yet?" Maya sighed. Not yet. Everything in my price range is either too far from the hospital or, well, unsafe. Elijah was quiet for a moment. I could help, you know. Maya stopped walking. No. I haven't even offered anything specific yet, Elijah said, looking surprised at her firm response. You don't need to. I'm not dating you for your money, Elijah. I won't take advantage. His expression softened. I know that. It's one of the things I loathe. He stopped, recalibrated. It's one of the things I admire most about you. But friends help friends, Maya. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Maya started walking again, thinking. She'd never been the type to accept help easily, especially financial help. But her situation was getting desperate, with just a month left before she had to move out. I'll think about it, she finally said. What Maya didn't know was that Elijah had already taken matters into his own hands. That same day, his company had quietly purchased the building where Maya lived, not to evict the tenants but to renovate the building and keep the rent affordable. Meanwhile, across town, a woman named Vanessa Carter was growing increasingly curious about Elijah's new girlfriend. As Elijah's ex-fiancée and the head of public relations for Horizon Investments, Vanessa still played an important role in Elijah's life. They had broken up 2 years ago when both realized they were better as friends and business partners than as a couple. So when do I get to meet this mysterious nurse? Vanessa asked over lunch in Elijah's office. Elijah looked up from the reports he was reviewing. Soon. When the time is right. Is it serious? Vanessa pressed. Elijah's smile gave him away. I think it could be. 'Tis different, Vanessa. Real in a way most people in our circle aren't. Well, the board is getting curious. You've missed 2 dinners to be with her, and people notice when Elijah Jones changes his routine. She paused. Does she know about the clinic project? Elijah shook his head. Not yet. I want to be sure of her feelings before I bring that up. I don't want her to think it's all about business. But part of it is, Vanessa pointed out gently. Her experience is exactly what the project needs. I know, Elijah admitted. But my feelings for her have nothing to do with that. The timing is just complicated. What neither of them realized was how complicated things were about to become. Maya's world and Elijah's were about to collide in ways neither of them expected, testing their new relationship and forcing both to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and each other. As Maya finished her shift that night, she had no idea that the next day would bring a revelation that would make her question everything she thought she knew about Elijah Jones, and about herself. Maya was exhausted. 3 emergency surgeries in one shift had left her drained, and all she wanted was to go home and sleep. As she changed out of her scrubs in the hospital locker room, Tasha burst in, her eyes wide with excitement. Maya, have you seen the news? Maya yawned. What news? Tasha thrust her phone forward. This? The headline read, Horizon Health Initiative announces new community clinic project. Below it was a photo of Elijah at a press conference, looking serious and professional in a dark suit. Maya took the phone, reading quickly. According to the article, Elijah's company was launching a network of non-profit healthcare clinics in underserved neighborhoods, starting with one just blocks from Mercy General. The clinics would provide care regardless of insurance status or ability to pay. This sounds exactly like your idea, Tasha said. The one you told him about. Maya kept reading, her tiredness forgotten. The description of the clinic model matched what she had described to Elijah, right down to the focus on preventive care and whole-person health. He never mentioned this to me, Maya said slowly. Not once. Maybe he wanted to surprise you? Tasha suggested. But as Maya continued reading, a cold feeling settled in her stomach. The project had been in development for 6 months, long before she met Elijah. And the article mentioned that Horizon was looking to hire healthcare professionals with community experience to staff the clinics. He used me, Maya said, the realization hitting her hard. He wasn't interested in me. He was researching for this project. You don't know that, Tasha argued. Maybe it's a coincidence. But Maya's mind was racing. The way Elijah had questioned her about healthcare, about her experiences, about what would make an ideal clinic. It hadn't been curiosity about her. It had been market research. She grabbed her phone and texted him, "We need to talk. Now." Elijah responded immediately, "At a meeting. Can I call in an hour?" "No," Maya typed back. "I'll come to you. Where's your office?" 20 minutes later, Maya stood in the impressive lobby of Horizon Investments headquarters. The security guard looked her up and down, still in her hospital sneakers and with her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She hardly looked like someone who would have business with the CEO. "I'm here to see Elijah Jones," she said firmly. "Do you have an appointment?" the guard asked. "No, but—" "Maya." Elijah's voice came from behind her. He looked surprised but pleased to see her. "This is unexpected. We need to talk," Maya said, not returning his smile. Something in her tone made Elijah's expression change. "Of course. Let's go up to my office." The elevator ride to the top floor was silent and tense. Maya was trying to sort through her feelings, hurt, betrayal, and a surprising amount of anger. Elijah's office was exactly what you'd expect for a billionaire CEO. Spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a spectacular view of the city. A woman sat at a desk outside, looking up in surprise as they approached. "Diane, hold my calls please," Elijah said to his assistant. "And can you reschedule the Thompson meeting?" He ushered Maya into his office and closed the door. "What's wrong?" he asked, his face concerned. Maya pulled out her phone and showed him the news article. "Were you ever going to tell me about this?" Elijah looked at the screen, then back at Maya. "Yes, of course. I was waiting for the right time." "The right time?" Maya's voice rose. "You've been planning this for 6 months, according to this article." 6 months? "And in all our conversations, all those times you asked me about my clinic idea, you never once mentioned you were already building exactly that." Understanding dawned on Elijah's face. "Maya, it's not what you think." "Really? Because what I think is that you used me. You wanted insider information from someone working in the healthcare trenches, so you dated a nurse." Maya's hands were shaking. "Was any of it real, Elijah? Or was I just research for your latest project?" "Maya, please." Elijah moved toward her, but she stepped back. "Yes, the clinic project has been in development for months. But meeting you was completely separate from that. It was coincidence." "Coincidence?" Maya laughed bitterly. "You just happened to take a special interest in the one topic I'm passionate about? You just happened to ask detailed questions about exactly the kind of project your company was already working on." Elijah ran a hand through his hair, looking frustrated. "When you told me about your clinic idea, I was amazed because it aligned so perfectly with what we were already planning. I should have told you then, but I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" Maya interrupted. "Afraid you wouldn't believe me," Elijah said quietly. "Afraid you'd think exactly what you're thinking now, that my interest in you was just about business." "And it wasn't?" Maya challenged. "No." Elijah's voice was passionate now. "Maya, from the moment you helped me during that storm, I've been drawn to you. Your compassion, your strength, your honesty, those are the reasons I wanted to know you better. The clinic connection was just, I don't know, fate maybe." Maya wanted to believe him. Part of her did. But the hurt was too fresh, the coincidence too perfect. "I need time to think," she said finally. "This is too much." Elijah nodded, his face serious. "I understand. But Maya, please believe me when I say my feelings for you are real. The clinic project, yes, I should have told you sooner. That was a mistake. But it doesn't change how I feel about you." As Maya turned to leave, the office door opened and a stunning woman walked in. She was tall, elegantly dressed, and looked completely at home in this world of wealth and power. Elijah, the board is asking for. The woman stopped when she saw Maya. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had a meeting. It's fine, Vanessa, Elijah said, his voice tight. We were just finishing. Vanessa looked at Maya with undisguised curiosity. You must be Maya. I'm Vanessa Carter, head of PR here at Horizon. She extended her hand. Maya shook it automatically, feeling even more out of place in her simple clothes next to this polished woman. Nice to meet you, Maya managed to say. Vanessa and I used to be engaged, Elijah added, and Maya felt her heart sink further. She's a good friend and colleague now. Vanessa smiled warmly. Elijah has told me so much about you. I was hoping we'd meet under better circumstances. The casual mention that Elijah had discussed her with his ex-fiancée made Maya feel even more like an outsider in his world. I need to go, Maya said. I just got off a long shift and I'm very tired. Let me have my driver take you home, Elijah offered. No thank you. I'll take the bus. Maya couldn't bear the thought of accepting anything more from him right now. As she left the impressive building, Maya felt tears threatening. She had let herself believe in a fairy tale, that a billionaire had fallen for a regular nurse, that their different worlds didn't matter. Now she wasn't sure what to believe. What Maya didn't know was that back in his office, Elijah was equally devastated. Watching her walk away, he turned to Vanessa with pain in his eyes. I messed up, he said quietly. I should have told her about the clinic project from the beginning. Vanessa laid a hand on his shoulder. She'll come around, Elijah. Just give her time. You don't understand, Elijah said, sinking into his chair. Maya isn't like other women I've known. She doesn't care about my money or my status. In fact, she seems to see those things as barriers between us. Then she's exactly the kind of person you need, Vanessa replied. Someone who sees the real you. Elijah stared out the window at the city below. What if I've lost her before I even had a chance to show her who I really am? For 3 days, Maya ignored Elijah's calls and texts. She went to work, came home, and tried not to think about him, which meant, of course, that she thought about little else. On the 4th day, she arrived at her apartment building to find a notice in the lobby. The building had been purchased by a new owner, and contrary to the previous notice, no one would be evicted. Instead, the building would be renovated unit by unit, with all current tenants welcome to stay at their current rent rates. Maya read the notice twice, her heart sinking. She knew immediately who was behind this. She pulled out her phone and finally called Elijah back. Maya, he answered on the first ring, his voice filled with relief. I'm so glad you called. Did you buy my building? She asked without preamble. Pause. Yes. Why? Because you were worried about finding a new place. Because the tenants there deserved better than to be thrown out. Because I could help, so I did. Maya closed her eyes, leaning against the wall. I don't want to be your charity case, Elijah. It's not charity, he said firmly. It's using the resources I have to solve a problem. Would you rather I let everyone in your building become homeless when I could prevent it? Put that way, Maya didn't have a good answer. You should have asked me first. Would you have said yes? Probably not, Maya admitted. Exactly. Elijah's voice softened. Maya, can we talk? In person? There's so much I need to explain. Maya hesitated, then made a decision. Come to my place. 7 o'clock. And Elijah? No limo this time. When Elijah arrived that evening, he was driving himself in a modest sedan, still expensive but not flashy. He brought takeout from their favorite taco truck and a folder of documents. The clinic project, he said, opening the folder on Maya's small dining table. I want you to see everything, when it started, how it developed, all of it. Over tacos, Elijah explained. The clinic network had indeed been in planning for 6 months, inspired by his mother's difficult experiences with the healthcare system before her death from cancer 10 years ago. When you told me your idea that first night at dinner, I couldn't believe it, Elijah said. It was almost exactly what we were already working on. I should have told you then, but I was afraid. Afraid of what? Maya asked, echoing her question from their last conversation. Elijah met her eyes. Afraid you'd think it was the only reason I was interested in you? Afraid you'd think I was trying to recruit you or use your expertise? He took a deep breath. And honestly? A little afraid that you'd think I was trying to impress you with a grand gesture. Maya looked through the documents, meeting notes, design plans, budgets. It was clear the project had been in motion long before they met. So our meeting really was just coincidence? She asked, still not entirely convinced. The storm, your apartment, my injury, all coincidence, Elijah confirmed. But I don't think it was coincidence that we connected so strongly, or that we share the same vision for healthcare. Some things are just meant to be, Maya. Maya wanted to believe him. Looking at the evidence, she could see that he hadn't lied about the project's timeline. But something still bothered her. What about Vanessa? Your ex-fiancée who just happens to still work closely with you? Elijah smiled slightly. Vanessa and I were engaged briefly, yes. We realized we were better as friends and business partners than as a couple. She's engaged to someone else now, a surgeon actually. So there's nothing between you? Maya pressed. Nothing romantic, no. She's one of my closest friends and advisors. Elijah leaned forward. Maya, I'm not going to pretend my life is simple. I have complicated relationships, business responsibilities, public obligations. But my feelings for you are the most uncomplicated thing in my world. Maya felt her resistance melting. She had missed him these past few days, missed their conversations, his laugh, the way he listened when she spoke. I need you to be honest with me, Elijah. About everything. No more surprises. He nodded solemnly. Complete honesty from now on. I promise. And the building, Maya began, is a business investment, Elijah finished. A good one actually. Affordable housing in that neighborhood will only increase in value as the area develops. But I won't lie, I did it for you too. To help you and your neighbors. Maya considered this. Okay, but no more grand gestures without talking to me first. Elijah smiled, relief evident on his face. Agreed. As they cleared away the takeout containers, Elijah grew serious again. There is one more thing, Maya. About the clinic project. Maya tensed. What about it? We need someone to help run it. Someone who understands both healthcare and community needs. Someone with exactly your experience and vision. He hurried to continue as Maya's expression changed. I'm not offering you the job because we're, whatever we are. I'm offering because you're the most qualified person I know. Elijah. Just think about it, he said quickly. No pressure. No timeline. It's completely separate from us. Maya nodded slowly. I'll think about it. When Elijah left that night, things between them felt tentatively repaired. Maya wasn't fully convinced that his world and hers could ever truly mesh, but she was willing to give it a chance. What she didn't know was that their reconciliation had been photographed. A neighbor, recognizing Elijah from the news, had snapped a picture of them talking outside her apartment and sold it to a gossip website. By morning, Maya's private life would become very public, testing their new understanding in ways neither of them had anticipated. Maya's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts from friends, calls from numbers she didn't recognize, notifications from social media accounts she rarely used. Groggily, she reached for her phone and saw a message from Tasha. OMG Maya, call me right now. Before she could respond, another text came through, this one from Elijah. Maya, I'm so sorry. Don't answer your door or phone to anyone you don't know. I'm sending someone trustworthy to bring you to me. Now fully awake, Maya sat up in bed. What was happening? She called Tasha immediately. You're all over the internet. Tasha exclaimed without preamble. Someone took pictures of you and Elijah outside your apartment last night. The stories everywhere, Billionaire's mystery woman, and all that trash. Maya felt sick. She opened her laptop and searched Elijah's name. Sure enough, there she was in dozens of articles, grainy photos of her and Elijah talking outside her building, speculation about their relationship, details about her job as a nurse. A knock at her door made her jump. Looking through the peephole, she saw a professional-looking woman she didn't recognize. Miss Harris? I'm Angela Diaz, head of security for Mr. Jones. He asked me to bring you to his home where you'll have privacy. After verifying Angela's identity with a quick call to Elijah, Maya threw some clothes and toiletries into a bag. As they left the building, she was shocked to see several photographers waiting outside. Keep your head down and stay close to me, Angela instructed, leading Maya to a waiting car with tinted windows. The drive to Elijah's home was tense and silent. Maya stared out the window, trying to process how quickly her life had changed. Yesterday she was just a nurse with relationship problems. Today she was gossip fodder for the entire internet. Elijah's home turned out to be a stunning modern house perched on a hillside overlooking the city. Under other circumstances, Maya would have been awed by its beauty. Now she barely noticed as Angela led her inside. Elijah was waiting in a spacious living room, his face drawn with concern. Maya, I'm so sorry, he said immediately. This is exactly what I wanted to protect you from. How did they find me? Maya asked, sinking onto a sofa. Someone recognized me at your building, Elijah explained, sitting beside her. It happens sometimes no matter how careful I am. What happens now? Maya's voice was small. Now we have choices, Elijah said gently. My PR team can issue a statement saying we're just friends or colleagues through the clinic project. Or we can say nothing and wait for the story to die down. Or, Maya sensed there was a third option. Or we acknowledge that we're dating and ask for privacy. Elijah took her hand. It's completely up to you, Maya. I'll support whatever you decide. Before Maya could respond, Vanessa walked in, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to make a decision quickly. The story's gaining traction. Maya felt overwhelmed. Less than 12 hours ago, her biggest concern had been whether she could trust Elijah again. Now she was hiding in his mansion while strangers speculated about her life. I need time to think, she said. Of course, Elijah agreed immediately. You can stay here as long as you need. No one will bother you. Looking around at the luxurious house, Maya suddenly felt the vast gulf between their worlds more keenly than ever. This is your life all the time, isn't it? Being careful about who might be watching, having security people making statements through PR teams. Elijah nodded slowly. Yes. It's not always this intense, but, yes, this is part of my reality. And now it's mine too, Maya said quietly. Only if you want it to be, Elijah replied, his voice equally quiet. Maya, I would understand completely if this is too much. My life comes with complications that most people don't have to deal with. Vanessa cleared her throat. I'll give you two some privacy. But Elijah, we really do need a decision within the hour. After she left, Maya stood and walked to the window, looking out at the spectacular view. You know what's ironic? I've spent the last few days worried that you were only interested in me because of my healthcare expertise. Now I'm wondering if I'm just interested in you because of all this. She gestured around at the beautiful house. Elijah joined her at the window. Are you interested in me for my money? Maya turned to face him. No. That's what scares me. I care about you, the person who slipped in a storm, who listens when I talk, who's passionate about helping people. But I don't know if I can handle this. Again she indicated their surroundings. The spotlight fades, Elijah said. They'll find another story tomorrow or the next day. This intensity won't last. But some of it will always be there, Maya pointed out. Some part of your life will always be public. Yes, Elijah admitted. That's true. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Maya made her decision. Let's acknowledge that we're dating and ask for privacy. I won't hide, but I won't give them a show either. Elijah's face lit up with a mixture of surprise and happiness. Are you sure? No, Maya said honestly. But I want to try. I care about you too much to walk away without giving us a real chance. The press statement went out an hour later. Elijah Jones is currently in a relationship with Maya Harris, a healthcare professional. They ask for privacy as they explore this new chapter in their lives. The next few days were a crash course for Maya in living under public scrutiny. She took a week off from work, staying at Elijah's house while the media frenzy continued. Reporters dug into her background, finding old social media posts, interviewing distant acquaintances, even contacting her parents in their small hometown. I feel like I've lost control of my own story, Maya told Elijah one evening as they sat on his terrace watching the sunset. I know, he said sympathetically. It's intrusive and unfair. But you've handled it with incredible grace. Maya laughed without humor. I've been hiding in your house for 5 days. That's not grace, that's avoidance. It's self-protection, Elijah corrected. And it's temporary. Already the interest is dying down. He took her hand. Maya, I want you to know, whatever happens with us, I'll make sure you're protected. If this becomes too much and you want out, I'll understand, and I'll do everything I can to help you return to your normal life. Maya squeezed his hand. I'm not giving up that easily. But thank you for understanding that this is hard for me. The truth was, despite the media intrusion, this time with Elijah had brought them closer. Without the distractions of work or other obligations, they had talked for hours each day, learning more about each other's lives, dreams, and fears. Maya had heard about Elijah's childhood, the pressure of being the only son of a successful businessman, the loss of his mother at a young age, his determination to use his wealth to make a meaningful difference in the world. Elijah had learned about Maya's journey, growing up in a working-class family, putting herself through nursing school, the patients who had changed her perspective on healthcare and life. By the end of the week, when Maya finally returned to her apartment, with security arranged discreetly by Elijah, she knew one thing for certain. Her feelings for Elijah were real regardless of his wealth or status. The question that remained was whether their different worlds could truly merge into a shared life. What she didn't know was that a new complication was about to emerge, one that would test not just their relationship, but everything Maya thought she knew about herself and her future. 3 months had passed since Maya's face had appeared in the gossip columns. The media interest had faded, just as Elijah had predicted, and Maya had settled into a new normal, dating one of the city's most eligible bachelors while trying to maintain her own identity and career. It hadn't been easy. There were still occasional photographers, curious colleagues, and the constant awareness that her private life wasn't entirely private anymore. But there were wonderful parts too: Elijah's thoughtfulness, their deep conversations, the way he made her laugh, and yes, the experiences his wealth made possible. Weekend trips to places she'd only dreamed of visiting, meals at restaurants where reservations were usually impossible to get, concerts and private boxes. Maya had been careful not to let these luxuries become too important to her. She still worked her shifts at the hospital, lived in her own apartment, though Elijah had upgraded the security, and spent time with her own friends. The clinic project was moving forward rapidly. Construction had begun on the first location, just a few blocks from Mercy General. Maya had agreed to consult on the project, sharing her expertise without taking a full-time role, at least not yet. On a sunny Saturday morning, Maya and Elijah were having breakfast on the terrace of his home when he suddenly grew serious. "Maya, I need to tell you something." Her heart jumped. After 6 months of dating, she still sometimes waited for the other shoe to drop, for some revelation that would change everything. "What is it?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I've been offered an opportunity. A big one." Elijah set down his coffee cup. "The World Health Organization wants me to lead a global initiative on healthcare access. It would mean relocating to Geneva for at least 2 years. Maya felt the world tilt slightly. 2 years in Switzerland? Elijah nodded. It's an incredible opportunity to expand the work we're doing with the clinics to an international scale, making quality healthcare accessible to the most vulnerable populations worldwide. When would you leave? Maya asked, her mind racing. 3 months from now if I accept. Elijah reached for her hand. Maya, I haven't given them an answer yet because I wanted to talk to you first. This affects us both. You should accept, Maya said automatically. It's an amazing opportunity. But what about us? Elijah pressed. I don't want a long-distance relationship for 2 years. I want you with me. Maya stared at him. You want me to move to Switzerland? Yes, Elijah said simply. Or what? Elijah took a deep breath. Or I could turn it down and stay here. With you. Maya shook her head immediately. No, absolutely not. I won't be the reason you pass up something this important. You're important too, Elijah insisted. The most important person in my life. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. In 6 months of dating, neither had said, I love you, yet. This was as close as they'd come. I need time to think, Maya said finally. This is a big decision. Of course, Elijah agreed. Take all the time you need. Over the next week, Maya could think of little else. Move to Switzerland with Elijah? Leave her job, her friends, her life behind? It was a huge step, practically moving in together and relocating to another continent all at once. She discussed it with Tasha over coffee. Girl, are you crazy? Tasha exclaimed. Switzerland. With a billionaire. What is there to think about? My whole life is here, Maya pointed out. My career, my friends, everything I know. They have hospitals in Switzerland, Tasha countered. And phones and internet to keep in touch with friends. And Elijah Jones, who looks at you like you hung the moon. Maya smiled despite herself. It's not that simple. It never is, Tasha agreed, growing serious. But Maya, in the 6 years I've known you, I've never seen you as happy as you've been these past months. Despite the media craziness, despite the differences in your backgrounds, despite all of it, you love him. I do, Maya admitted for the first time. But is love enough? Only you can answer that, Tasha said gently. But ask yourself this, 20 years from now, which would you regret more? Taking a chance on love even if it didn't work out, or playing it safe and always wondering what might have been? That night, Maya called her parents. They had met Elijah twice now and, after initial skepticism about their daughter dating a billionaire, had warmed to him when they saw how he treated Maya, with respect, consideration, and genuine affection. I don't know what to do, Mom, Maya confessed after explaining the situation. Her mother was quiet for a moment. Maya, do you remember how scared you were to move to the city for nursing school? You cried the whole drive there. Maya smiled at the memory. I was terrified. But you did it anyway. And it changed your life for the better. Her mother's voice was gentle but firm. Sometimes the scariest choices lead to the greatest joy. But honey, you have to follow your heart on this one. No one else can tell you what's right for you. 2 weeks after Elijah had first mentioned Geneva, Maya invited him to her apartment for dinner. She had cooked his favorite meal and set the small table with candles. This looks wonderful, Elijah said, kissing her cheek. He seemed tense, and Maya knew he was anxious about her decision. Over dinner, they chatted about work and friends, carefully avoiding the topic of Switzerland. Finally, as they finished eating, Maya took a deep breath. I've made my decision, she said. Elijah put down his fork, his expression serious. And? I'll go to Geneva with you, Maya said. But I have conditions. Relief flooded Elijah's face, followed by curiosity. What conditions? First, I need to find meaningful work there. I'm not going to be just Elijah Jones's girlfriend in a foreign country. I need my own purpose. Elijah nodded. Of course. The WHO has an excellent nursing program, or you could work with the clinic initiative directly. Or something completely different if you prefer. Whatever makes you happy. Second, Maya continued, I want us to live somewhere normal. Not some massive mansion or penthouse. A real home where we can have a real life together. Define normal, Elijah said with a small smile. Someplace that feels like us. Not just you, not just me. Someplace where we're equals. Elijah reached across the table for her hand. I promise. We'll find a place that feels right for both of us. And third, Maya said, her voice softening, I need to know that this is real. That we're moving forward together, not just physically to a new place, but emotionally to a new chapter. Maya, Elijah's voice was thick with emotion. I love you. I've never said that to anyone else and meant it the way I mean it with you. This is the most real thing in my life. I love you too, Maya said, the words feeling both momentous and completely natural. That's why I'm willing to take this leap. Later that night, as they lay together in Maya's small bed, Elijah whispered, 3 months will fly by. We have so much to plan. Maya snuggled closer to him. I know. It's scary and exciting all at once. What neither of them knew was that their carefully laid plans were about to be upended. In just 1 week, a crisis would emerge that would force both Maya and Elijah to confront their deepest values and priorities, testing their love in ways they never could have anticipated. The first sign that something was wrong came in the form of an urgent text from Vanessa. Turn on the news. Channel 6. Now. Maya and Elijah were at his house, discussing apartment options in Geneva. Elijah grabbed the remote and switched on the television. A grim-faced reporter stood outside Mercy General Hospital. Allegations of dangerous cost-cutting measures and patient neglect. An anonymous whistleblower has provided documents suggesting that Horizon Investments, which recently acquired a controlling stake in Mercy General's parent company, has been systematically reducing staff and resources while maintaining the same patient load. Maya turned to Elijah, her face pale. Is this true? Did your company buy the hospital? Elijah looked shocked. Yes, we acquired MedCore Health 3 weeks ago, which owns Mercy General and 5 other hospitals. But these allegations are completely false. We've made no changes to staffing or resources. Why didn't you tell me about the acquisition? Maya asked, her voice tight. It was just a business deal, Elijah said. I didn't think. I mean, it didn't seem relevant to us. Not relevant? Maya stood up, anger flashing in her eyes. I work there, Elijah. That's my hospital, my colleagues, my patients. Before Elijah could respond, his phone rang. It was the CEO of MedCore Health. Maya watched as Elijah's expression grew increasingly grave during the conversation. When he hung up, he looked troubled. There have been some changes at Mercy General, but not ordered by us. The previous management apparently implemented cost-cutting measures shortly before our acquisition, anticipating the sale. They wanted to improve their bottom line to get a better price. So you're saying it's true? Maya asked. The hospital has been cutting corners? Some staffing reductions, yes. And some equipment maintenance delayed. Elijah ran a hand through his hair. Maya, I swear I didn't know. My team handles dozens of acquisitions. I don't review the operational details of each one. Maya paced the room, trying to process this information. I've noticed the staffing issues. More patients per nurse, longer hours. But I thought it was temporary, not a deliberate policy. Elijah stood and went to her, placing his hands on her shoulders. Maya, I can fix this. Now that I know, I'll make sure everything is restored immediately, staff, resources, everything. Maya stepped back from his touch. That's not the point, Elijah. The point is that your company, you, now own the hospital where I work and you didn't even mention it to me. What else haven't you told me? Nothing. Elijah protested. Maya, it was a business acquisition. I don't tell you about every deal Horizon makes. This isn't every deal. This is my workplace. Maya grabbed her phone and keys. I need to go to the hospital. I need to see what's happening for myself. I'll come with you, Elijah offered. No, Maya said firmly. I need to do this alone. As a nurse, not as Elijah Jones's girlfriend. At Mercy General, Maya found the staff in turmoil. News crews were camped outside, and inside, doctors, nurses, and administrators were huddled in tense groups, discussing the allegations. Tasha spotted Maya and rushed over. Did you know about this? That your boyfriend owns us now? No, Maya said truthfully. I just found out from the news like everyone else. Some of the staff are saying you must have known, Tasha warned. That maybe you even helped engineer it. Maya felt sick. That's ridiculous. I would never be part of anything that hurt patient care. I know that, Tasha assured her. But people are scared and angry. They're looking for someone to blame. Over the next several hours, Maya talked to colleagues, checked on patients, and tried to understand the full scope of the changes. The picture that emerged was troubling. Staffing had indeed been reduced, equipment maintenance delayed, and some cheaper medications substituted for more effective ones. When her phone rang with Elijah's number for the third time, Maya finally answered. I've been so worried, Elijah said. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay, Maya replied. Elijah, it's bad. Really bad. People have been cut from every department. Equipment that should have been replaced months ago is still in use. And the worst part? It's affecting patient care. I'm fixing it, Maya, Elijah promised. I've ordered an immediate review of all the changes. Anything that affects patient care will be reversed immediately. And I'm sending in a management team to oversee the transition. That's not enough, Maya said. The damage is already done, to the hospital's reputation, to staff morale, to patients who've received substandard care. And to trust. My colleagues think I knew about this, that I kept it secret because of my relationship with you. Tell them the truth, Elijah urged. That you had no idea. Would they believe me? Maya asked bitterly. Would you, in their position? A long silence followed. Finally, Elijah spoke, his voice heavy. What can I do, Maya? Tell me what you need. Maya closed her eyes, leaning against the wall of the quiet supply room where she'd taken the call. I need time to think. And I need you to fix this, not just with money, but with real changes that put patients first. I will, Elijah vowed. Whatever it takes. For the next week, Maya and Elijah barely saw each other. She threw herself into her work at the hospital, helping to document the problems and advocate for her patients. He worked around the clock with his team to address the issues at Mercy General and the other affected hospitals. The media coverage continued, with some outlets suggesting that Maya had been Elijah's inside person at the hospital all along. The clinic project was also drawn into the controversy, with critics questioning whether it was just a publicity stunt to distract from the hospital scandal. When they finally met again, it was at a neutral location, a quiet park where they had often walked together. Both looked exhausted, the strain of the past week evident on their faces. The management team has been replaced, Elijah said immediately. All the cuts have been reversed and we're actually increasing staff beyond previous levels. New equipment has been ordered, and a patient care oversight committee is being established, including representation from nursing staff. Maya nodded. I know. The changes are already being felt at the hospital. But Elijah prompted, sensing her continued reservation. But the trust is broken, Elijah. Not just between us, though, that too. Between the hospital staff and administration. Between the community and Mercy General. These things take time to rebuild. And us? Elijah asked quietly. Can we rebuild? Maya looked at him directly. I don't know. I love you, Elijah. That hasn't changed. But I've realized something important this week. Our worlds don't just affect us. They affect everyone around us. Your employees, my patients, our communities. When those worlds collide badly, people get hurt. Maya. Let me finish, she said gently. Your world is one of acquisitions and board meetings and billion-dollar decisions. Mine is one of bedside care and overtime shifts and holding patients' hands when they're scared. Both matter. Both are valuable. but they operate by different rules with different priorities. And sometimes those differences create problems we never saw coming. So what are you saying? Elijah's voice was strained. That we can't make this work? That we should give up? Maya shook her head. I'm saying I don't know if moving to Geneva is the right next step anymore. I'm saying we need to be more honest about the challenges we face. I'm saying I need more time. Elijah took her hand, relief evident on his face. Time we have. I'll tell the who I need to delay my decision. We'll figure this out, Maya. Together. What neither of them could have predicted was that time was the one thing they didn't have. The next day would bring news that would change everything, forcing both Maya and Elijah to make choices that would define not just their relationship, but their futures. The call came at 3:27 a.m. Maya fumbled for her phone in the darkness, instantly alert when she saw it was her father calling. Dad? What's wrong? It's your mom, her father said, his voice breaking. She's had a stroke. The doctors, they're saying it's serious, Maya. Maya sat up, fully awake now. I'm coming home. Right now. Which hospital? County General. The small one, not the big medical center. Her father sounded lost, frightened. Maya, they don't have all the equipment they need here. They're saying they might need to transfer her, but the nearest hospital with the right specialist is 2 hours away, and they're not sure. Dad, listen to me, Maya said, already throwing clothes into a bag. I'm on my way. And I'm bringing help. As soon as she hung up, Maya called Elijah. Despite the hour, he answered immediately. Maya? What's happened? My mother's had a stroke. I need to get home, to Riverside, my hometown. It's a 5-hour drive. Maya was already putting on shoes, moving on autopilot. The local hospital doesn't have the right equipment or specialists. I'm sending the helicopter, Elijah said without hesitation. It can be at the city landing pad in 20 minutes. Pack what you need and go there. I'll meet you. Elijah, you don't have to. I'm coming with you, Maya. Unless you don't want me to. Maya closed her eyes briefly, overwhelmed with gratitude. Yes, please come. The next few hours passed in a blur. The helicopter ride took just over an hour instead of the 5-hour drive. Elijah made calls the entire time, arranging for a specialist team to be flown in from the best neurological center in the country. By dawn, Maya's mother had been stabilized and was receiving the highest level of care possible, right there at the small county general, where the most advanced equipment had been delivered overnight and a team of specialists was now in attendance. Maya sat with her father in the waiting room, both exhausted and hopeful. Elijah had stepped out to make more calls, giving the family privacy. Your young man arranged all this? Her father asked, gesturing to the activity around them, the specialists, the equipment, the attentive staff. Maya nodded. Yes. As soon as I told him, he just made it happen. Her father was quiet for a moment. Money can't solve everything, Maya. But sometimes it can solve the right things at the right time. He squeezed her hand. I'm glad you have him. When Elijah returned, he had news. The neurologist says the prognosis is good. They caught it early enough, and with proper rehabilitation, your mother should recover most, if not all, of her function. Maya stood and embraced him, tears of relief falling. Thank you, she whispered against his chest. For everything. For 3 days, Maya stayed at the hospital while her mother stabilized. Elijah remained too, working remotely, making arrangements for her mother's ongoing care, and supporting Maya and her father however he could, from ensuring they ate proper meals to listening when they needed to talk. On the 4th day, as Maya sat beside her mother's hospital bed, watching her sleep peacefully, Elijah appeared in the doorway. Can we talk? He asked softly. Maya nodded and followed him to a quiet corner of the hospital garden. The small space was surprisingly beautiful, with flowering plants and a bench beside a tiny fountain. Your mother's doctors say she's stable enough now that they can continue her care without the specialists, Elijah said. But I've arranged for them to consult remotely, and for the best rehabilitation team in the country to work with her once she's ready. Thank you, Maya said, touching his arm. I don't know how to ever repay you for this. Elijah shook his head. You don't repay love, Maya. You just accept it and give it back in your own way. He took a deep breath. Which brings me to what I wanted to talk about. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's heart skipped. Before you say anything, Elijah said quickly, this isn't what you think. Or maybe it is, but not how you think. He opened the box. Inside was a beautiful but simple ring, a single sapphire the color of Maya's eyes, set in white gold. This was my mother's, Elijah explained. Not her engagement ring, that was much more flashy. This was the ring my father gave her when they found out she was pregnant with me. He said it was because their love had created something new and precious. Maya touched the ring gently but didn't take it. I'm not proposing, Elijah continued. At least not for right now. What I'm offering is a promise. A promise that whatever we decide about Geneva, about our future, we'll decide it together. As equals. He took the ring from its box and held it up. This past week, watching you with your parents, seeing how you've handled this crisis with such strength and grace, it's made me more certain than ever that you're the person I want to build a life with. Not in my world or your world, but in a new world we create together. Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. Elijah. Let me finish, he said gently. I called the WHO yesterday. I told them I was honored by their offer, but that I needed to make some changes to the arrangement. What changes? Maya asked. Instead of being based in Geneva full-time, I proposed splitting our time, 6 months there, 6 months here. That way you can continue your work at Mercy General if you choose, stay connected to your family and friends, and we can still be part of the international initiative. Maya stared at him, amazed. They agreed to that? Elijah smiled. They did. Apparently they want me badly enough to be flexible. His expression grew serious again. But Maya, that's only if it's what you want too. If you'd rather stay here full-time, we can make that work. If you want to go to Geneva full-time, we can do that instead. The point is, this decision belongs to both of us. He held out the ring. So this isn't an engagement ring. Not yet. It's a partnership ring. A promise that whatever comes next, we face it together. Maya looked at the beautiful sapphire, then at Elijah's face, so full of love and hope. In that moment, all her doubts and fears seemed smaller. Not gone but manageable when faced together. Yes, she said simply, extending her hand. Elijah slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that felt like a new beginning. 1 year later, Maya stood in the garden of her parents' home, wearing a simple white dress that flowed in the gentle breeze. Beside her, Elijah looked handsome in a light gray suit, no tie, his face radiant with happiness as they exchanged vows. It was a small wedding, just family and close friends. No media, no business associates, no fanfare. Just two people promising to love each other through whatever life brought their way. Maya's mother, now fully recovered thanks to the excellent care she'd received, watched with tears of joy. Tasha stood as maid of honor, while Vanessa sat in the front row, genuinely happy for her friend and former fiancé. In the years since her mother's stroke, much had changed. Maya and Elijah had indeed split their time between the city and Geneva, working together on both the local clinic project and the international healthcare initiative. Maya had taken on a leadership role in both efforts, her frontline experience proving invaluable. Mercy General had been transformed, becoming a model for patient-centered care with strong staff support. The scandal had ultimately led to positive change, with new policies ensuring that business decisions would never again compromise patient welfare. As Maya and Elijah exchanged rings, simple bands that matched the sapphire partnership ring she still wore, she thought about the strange path that had brought them here. A storm, an injury, a chance meeting between two people from different worlds. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said, and cheers erupted from their small gathering. Later, as they danced under twinkling lights in the garden, Elijah pulled Maya close. Happy? He asked. Very, she replied, resting her head on his shoulder. Though I'm still getting used to the idea of being Mrs. Billionaire. Elijah laughed. That's not who you are. You're Maya Harris-Jones, healthcare advocate, brilliant nurse, and the woman who saved me in more ways than one. We saved each other, Maya corrected, smiling up at him. And it was true. Her compassion had shown him how to use his wealth and power more meaningfully. His resources had allowed her to expand her impact beyond what she'd ever thought possible. Together they had created something neither could have built alone. A partnership of equals based on love, respect, and shared purpose. As the evening ended, they slipped away from the celebration, hand in hand. Their future would hold challenges. The demands of their work, the occasional intrusion of public attention, the ongoing process of merging two different worlds. But Maya knew now that with love and commitment, even the largest gaps could be bridged. Ready for our next adventure? Elijah asked as they reached the car that would take them to their honeymoon. A 2-week stay in a simple beachfront cottage, far from both the halls of power and the hospital corridors. Maya squeezed his hand, the ring on her finger catching the moonlight. With you? Always. Their story had begun with a storm and an act of kindness. It would continue with more storms, more kindnesses, more growth and change. Neither of them could predict the journey ahead, but they were certain of one thing. Whatever came, they would face it together in the new world they had created. One where love bridged all differences and transformed both their lives for the better.